Hi everyone, welcome back to my 1973 series. I have to admit I've sort of delayed talking about some of the films that I watched several weeks ago just because I find the prospect of trying to get all the facts straight and just talking about them in a way that's interesting to be kind of daunting. It's easy for me to talk about current movies because I read so much about them, before and after I see them, whereas these it's a little bit tougher. And in this case, it's even tougher than usual because I actually knew what I was getting into having seen this film before and was really not looking forward to it all that much because of what I remembered of it. The film is called Papillon, and it's about a French prison colony called Devil's Island. It's in a tropical climate. I believe it's somewhere around Africa. It's specifically in French Guiana. I'm not really sure where that is precisely, but yeah, it's definitely a warm tropical environment with lots of jungle all around. This movie is based on an autobiography by a man named Henry Charrière. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Apparently he was a professional safecracker, but I don't remember them actually mentioning that in the movie. What they do mention is that he was convicted of murdering a pimp, which he denies. He said he was wrongly convicted, and he's sent to this prison colony, which is in this sort of outdoor tropical environment, lots of water around, lots of rivers, swamps, trees, bugs everywhere. It seems very, very, very uncomfortable. And though the structure of the film reminds me of The Shawshank Redemption, which you have the main character and a man that he becomes friends with and their lives in this prison colony over the course of decades, Shawshank kind of looks like a luxury hotel compared to this place. I would be extremely uncomfortable living here, extremely uncomfortable. I need indoor plumbing, I need air conditioning, I need all kinds of, the comforts of modern living. This would not be a good experience for me at all, especially spending, years and years there. So Henry is played by Steve McQueen of Bullet fame, and his friend, Mr. Degas, Louis Degas, is played by Dustin Hoffman. And I wonder if people complained at the time that, they were playing French characters, but didn't even bother with French accents, let alone actual French dialogue. I remember reading about Valkyrie when it came out, and everyone gave Tom Cruise a hard time because he wasn't trying a German accent, and there were so many British actors using their natural accents instead of German. I'm like, wouldn't people have a problem with Papillon back in the day? Didn't people have a problem with Paths of Glory? Those guys are all French, yet they're played by Kirk Douglas and a bunch of other American people. It doesn't bother me at all, but, it's a discrepancy, of course, that can be bothersome. I should mention the director. His name is Franklin J. Schaffner. Looking at his resume, I see he directed a couple of notable films, such as Patton with George C. Scott and the original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston. So as the film begins, Henry and Degas, they've arrived at this prison colony, in this jungle environment. It's a mess, basically. There's mud and water everywhere, bugs. It's just, very, very uncomfortable environment. And they have to learn to, do what they can to eke out an existence here and survive as best they can. Degas is a forger, basically, and so he's been convicted of, he has to spend decades there. And they try to make a go of it, and they maintain a friendship, and they try and live as comfortably as possible, but they also are planning to escape. Henry in particular, he's very, very interested in getting out of there because he feels he doesn't belong there. There's this wife back in the... Degas' wife is... sending him letters telling him that she's working with his lawyer to try and get his conviction overturned and stuff like that. And many years later down the road, he finds out that his wife is now married to the lawyer. It's crazy. But the two of them, they stick by each other. And when Henry makes his first escape attempt, they announce this basically in the beginning of the film when they're getting settled in and saying, if you're caught on your first escape attempt, you get 2 years in solitary confinement. And if you try again and you're caught, you get 5 years in solitary confinement. Well, Henry does at one point try to escape, and he gets caught, and you see him spending 2 years in solitary confinement, which is very unpleasant. Really, really unpleasant. His second attempt, however, goes a lot better. Degas actually comes along with him, as well as one other guy. to get out of there. And they actually are successful for a while. I don't want to tell you too much about what happens in the end in case you want to see it for yourself. But it's a decent movie. It's very, very well shot. The acting's all really good. And it is just kind of a really excruciating experience having to live with these guys. Shawshank Redemption is a very viewer-friendly experience, you know. It really, the time kind of clips by, there's lots of narration, there's good music, there's sort of a big cast of character actors to focus on, whereas these guys are pretty much all on their own with a few supporting characters, just sort of slowly grinding out the daily routine of living in prison, or in a prison environment basically, and having to deal with having very little to work with, or just things to do, you know, and just being in a very uncomfortable environment. Man, it's an uncomfortable experience watching this movie. It really is. But that doesn't mean it isn't bad. It's a good movie. So there's my review of Papillon. This was requested actually. This is something that I was actually planning on seeing, but it was requested by a couple of people. So thanks for the recommendation. And if you've got 1973 movies you want me to look at and talk about, there's a link below to a playlist where you'll see the videos that I've done so far. So you'll see, you know, what I have done and maybe recommend something that I haven't done. So thanks very much for watching. See you again soon.